Our guest today, one of the greatest money goaltenders of all time, an NHL Hall of Famer, 5 Stanley Cups, Grant FUHR. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show coming up. Very excited about today's show. Our special guest was a native of Spruce Grove, Alberta. Top rookie and top goaltender in the Western Hockey League, playing for the Victoria Cougars. Played 19 NHL seasons for the Oilers, Leafs, Sabres, Kings, Blues, and Flames. Owned several NHL records. A 6-time All-Star. William Jennings Trophy winner. Vezina Trophy winner. He won 2 Canada Cup titles. He won 5 Stanley Cups. He was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2003. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program, Grant FUHR. Grant, great to have you on. Now, let's talk about, I just finished reading your book. It's an awesome book, by the way. It was written a few years back by you and co-written by Bruce Daubig. You know, it goes way back in your history, and you talk about finding out that you were adopted at a very young age. And I wanted to, I got friends that are adopted. Did it help that you found out at such a young age you were adopted? That make a difference for you?
I think it made a big difference. I mean, there's a lot of people that go through in life and wonder about different things, and being adopted, one of them is your natural parents, where I was young enough that the only parents I knew were the parents that adopted me, so it made it a lot easier.
I know your dad was a big sports fan and got you into sports at a young age, which is helpful for a lot of us. I know that for sure. Now, what made you, though, decide that you wanted to be a goalie?
Well, the funny part was nobody wanted to play goal, and I started on an outdoor rink, so one, it was cold. But I thought the equipment looked pretty cool and tried it on the first time and kind of fell in love with it right out of the gate. So goalie from day one, right to the bitter end.
I remember playing goalie one year in minor hockey after reading Johnny Bauer's little pamphlet that they used to hand out at the gas stations, I think, or whatever it was. And he talked about cutting down the angles and studying the guys coming in at you and learning how to skate backwards and everything else. But I got cold feet playing in goal. Of course, I grew up in Edmonton too, so I know what it's like to play outdoors and have frozen feet. Was that ever a problem for you?
Oh no, I froze my feet a few times where you'd have to stick them over the hot air register, or you stick them in cold water. And yeah, there was a few nights of tears and not very much fun, but yet you couldn't wait to do it again the next day.
So, that was clear to you in the beginning that you made a decision that you wanted to be an NHL goalie, and I think you got support from that from your parents, from those around you. What was it within you that made you believe that you could be an NHL goalie?
You know what? I love the game first and foremost. I think that was the biggest thing, and it was something I wanted to do. Whether I thought I would ever be able to do it, I wasn't sure. But I had my parents' support. I had friends' support. I had some teachers that were really good about it. And they've always taught you to reach for your dreams. So it was something I wanted to do and just made a commitment to it.
How'd you end up with Victoria Cougars? How'd you end up at Victoria for your junior career?
I was lucky enough that a gentleman in Edmonton, actually, a guy by the name of Kenny LaRue, scouted me and then asked if I'd come out to training camp and have a look and see if I'd be interested in playing junior out there.
So you get to the Cougars, and it starts out pretty well for you. You're named the top rookie, and then you have a couple of fantastic seasons in Victoria, and then your draft year. What do you think was the key to you becoming a high draft choice in the NHL?
No, probably luck more than anything. I mean, you're just playing. That's the biggest thing. All you control is playing, and that's all I did. I didn't worry about anything else. I just worried about me playing and having a little bit of fun at the same time. And everything worked out really well.
So then your draft year, the Oilers have the number 8 pick, and Glenn Sather wasn't really a big fan of Grant Fuhrer, from what I understand, and from your book, but he listened to his scouts and decided to draft you anyway. How did that come about?
Well, Glenn saw me play a couple of times, and I wasn't very good at the games that he saw, so that was the unfortunate timing by me. But our head scout at that time, Barry Fraser, apparently had watched me a bunch, and I played fairly well when he was watching. So he was committed to me and had faith in me, and Glenn took a chance and drafted me.
So your rookie season, they didn't exactly break you into the league gently. You Oilers threw you right to the Wolves. You had a 23 game unbeaten streak, which is a rookie record still to this day. It's also an Oilers record. What do you recall the most about that 23 game streak?
Just being fortunate enough to play more than anything. I mean, I had Ronnie Lowe as a partner at that time, who was a veteran guy who'd played in the league, and he was there just to help give me some confidence and such. And I just went out and just played. You didn't worry about results or anything. You just went out, you played, and tried to do as best you could.
I know that you've always put an emphasis on winning. You know, that was where the numbers that you've always been more concerned about is winning. And how's this for a rookie campaign? 28 wins, 5 losses, 14 ties back in the day when we didn't have the overtime and shootout. 5 losses in 47 games as a rookie. I mean, where did you think your career is going to go from there? I mean, that's an incredible start. You know, you got votes for the Calder, you run up for the Calder, you run up for the Vezina, and this is a rookie, an all-star. You know, what a way to break into the league.
For being 18 years old, pretty good way to get things going. But then it all kind of came crashing back to earth the second year, which happens sometimes, where you lose a little bit of confidence. And was it great to get my feet underneath me and have a great first year? It was, but at the same time, it's also hard to be good every year.
Well, a lot of people talk about the sophomore jinx, and I think what is it about moving from that first year to the second year that changes for a lot of athletes?
I think the biggest thing is the guys have seen you now, so they know what you do. You're still learning them, and you get off to a little bit of a bad start. And at 19 years old, it's pretty easy to lose your confidence. So I had lost a little bit of confidence. I'd come off with shoulder surgery and just never really got my feet underneath me the second year. So it's a learning experience where you realize that you have to change little things every year just so you can stay in the league and have a chance to be good at it.
But there were some tough times in that second. Well, I mean, you know, Andy Moog comes on the scene. You guys got a good competition going, but you know, you had your struggles, and you know, then there was the miracle on Manchester. A lot of nasty things happened in that second year to the Oilers in general. Then you had the incident where you referred to the fans as jerks. You know, tell us about that and what was going through your mind at the time, and you know, your thoughts on who was that Grant Fuhrer at the time that did that.
Well, obviously, probably not much good going on in my head at that time, but no, I think it was frustration more than anything, where I got booed a couple of nights at home, and at 19 years old, hadn't really figured out how to deal with that yet. So we kind of lashed out at the fans, and fortunately at Edmonton, they're pretty forgiving. So I got away with it, but no, it's just a little bit of being young and immature.
Right. Well, you know what helps fans to forget? When you win 4 Stanley Cups in 5 years.
Yeah, puts a little bit of smoothness on it.
Takes a little sting off it, you know what I mean? But there was that first year against the Islanders, and you know, you guys were cruising along. Things were going very well for the Oilers, and then you run into the Islanders. And what was it that you learned from that, you know, that in 1983 and that Stanley Cup final when you guys got swept?
You know what? We were a good hockey team, and we had a lot of fun playing and such, but maybe we just hadn't quite learned the price you had to pay to be a Stanley Cup champion. So I think getting swept by the Islanders was a wake-up call for us that as good as we were, we still had to be better than that. And everybody kind of bought into that and realized the next year that we were just going to have to be that much better.
Well, I look at your style and the way you played, and you always talked about the big numbers that matter are the wins, and the Oilers played that wide open fire wagon hockey, and you were at the back end making the big saves when needed. Would you say that you were maybe the ideal goalie for that situation for that team?
Well, when I played in Victoria, we played a similar style. It was pretty wide open, a little run and gun, and I got a chance to see what it looked like. And the bottom line is you're always taught that you have to win. Doesn't matter if it's 9-8, doesn't matter if it's 2-1. The bottom line is winning. And I was never a guy hung up on numbers. It's just you're there to do your job. And if you make one more save than the other guy, that's all that matters. So how you do it, the way you do it, doesn't really much matter. It just has to happen.
You know what? And it seemed that Glenn Sather was on side with that philosophy. And how important would you say Sather was in your development and your success?
You know what? He was a big part of it. I mean, I lost my father early, and Glenn was like having a second father. So the fun part was he let us grow as a team. He let us grow as individuals and kind of steered us down the right direction. So for me, it was a big part of my career.
Or later on in your career, which was extended because you got yourself in great shape and your commitment and your intestinal fortitude, really everything. But one time, your roommate Kevin McClellan said you ate six cheeseburgers at a time. Not exactly a fitness guru in your early days in Edmonton. Is that true?
Well, I don't know if I had 6, but there's a good possibility I may have had 4. Yeah. But no, fitness was not high on my priority at an early age. I mean, I was, how would you put it? I was athletically good, but not a good athlete. I mean, I played baseball in the summers and rolled right into hockey season. So that was my version of staying in shape, was going out and playing another sport, which I still think today is important for kids to play a second sport. It just makes you a more rounded athlete. But as I get older and such, your body breaks down a little bit. And I was lucky enough to spend some time with Bob Kersey, who then showed me what a good athlete looks like. So as I got later in my career, I was probably a better athlete than I was when I was young.
Yeah, no question. I think that point was proven later on. But I'm going to get to what your Blues career. But what was it like to win that first Stanley Cup? You guys get a chance to win that Stanley Cup, and I was there in 1984. I was up in the press box that time. I was working for CFC in Lethbridge, and I got a chance to go in the dressing room afterwards. And what a phenomenal experience that was. I mean, just I've never experienced one of the greatest things, sporting events I've certainly ever experienced. What was it like? I know for you had to sit on the bench to watch it after shutting the Islanders out in Game 1. You ended up getting injured in that series, but that was a pivotal moment. Let's talk about that first of all. Let's talk about that Game 1 shutout, the 1-0 shutout. What did that do for you guys? Because I know up to that point you had struggled against the Islanders. I think you were 0-11 against them or something like that. Hanging in, it was some ridiculous number like that. And what was it like? What was the key to that game, and what was it like finally getting over that hump?
Well, I think the biggest thing for us was confidence. I mean, the Islanders had basically owned us up until that point, and I think winning that game, everybody said we couldn't play good defense. Well, we went out, we played pretty good defense, and we beat them 1-0. And it gave us the confidence that we knew we could beat them. And I think that kind of opened the floodgates for us. I mean, yes, we got pounded the next night. I think we lost 7-1 or something. But we still had the confidence that we could beat them. And that's the biggest thing in the playoffs is you have to believe you can beat the team you're playing against. And we'd had a tough time with the Islanders the year before. We had a tough time with them during the regular season. But we believed that we could beat them. And it just proved to ourselves that we could beat them.
You had a couple additions on that team. Kevin McClellan was one of them. Who would you say were the two or three most important additions to that team that allowed you to to get past that gritty Islanders team?
Well, I think Kevin was a big part of it. I mean, most definitely. I mean, as my roommate, I'm kind of partial to that too. So, but no, I mean, it's our character guys. And everybody knew we had stars, but it's the character guys like Patty Hughes, Davey Hunter, guys like that. Who would we have that time? Billy Carroll. Just guys like that people wouldn't really know, but they do all the dirty work. They play the hard minutes, and it's all our character guys that were the big parts of that.
You win the second cup, and that's the one where you got a chance to really shine. And was it better winning the second cup because you're on the ice at that particular time instead of being on the bench?
No, it's still the same. I mean, winning is winning. So you win as a team, and that's the biggest thing. Is I enjoyed the first one just as much as I enjoyed the second one. Yeah, I got to play in the second one, and that part's fun. But at the same time, it's still winning, and winning with a great group of guys. And I think that's the most important part.
Well, you guys, following the team and being an Edmonton guy and an Oilers fan was such a fun run to watch you guys play. And it just seemed at that time that nobody's ever going to beat this Oilers team. Of course, then 1986 comes along, and that's the year you lost your father. Very tough year, and then you guys lost to the Flames in the playoffs. And it was that goal by nobody expected that. It was that own goal basically by Steve Smith. It was, and then the Sports Illustrated article came out about the team's cocaine use. All that stuff was happening. Tell us about 86 and how tough that year was.
Well, probably 86 might have been one of the hardest years I've ever gone through. So first off, I lose my father. Then we had our own goal, which nobody really expected. Then we went through a few struggles after that. It's just one of those years that, one, it makes you a better person, but two, at the same time, it's a big growing point. And it's either a make or break time. And I think that was the hardest part of my life, but at the same time, the best part is that I figured out that I could make it. It didn't break me. And if any year would have broke me, that would have been the one. Well,
you certainly redeemed yourselves, all of you guys, in 1987, coming back to win the cup. But I want to talk about 87 because it was such a great year for you. You had the cup title, then you had the Canada Cup title. I mean, what a sensational year that was. But you had all these breakaways, you had to face all these breakaways all the time because that's the kind of style the Oilers played. The idea was they would outscore you. Yeah, you're going to get your chances. Yeah, but they're going to outscore you. And one of the reasons they're going to be able to outscore you is because they got Grant Fuhr sitting back there. And I don't know if there's anybody in history who ever faced more breakaways. Is there anybody, can you imagine, can you just think off the top of your head, anybody who might have faced more breakaways than you did?
Off the top of my head, no. I mean, it's just the style we played. That was the fun part, is we were going to give up some chances, but that meant if you were getting chances, that we were getting chances, and we just assumed that our talent was better than your talent.
And it was a good assumption, I think, wasn't it? So here's what a couple of your teammates had to say after you were named one of the top 100 players of all time. Let's have a listen.
He was a perfect goalie and temperament for us. Wasn't worried about statistics, didn't care about goals against, didn't care about anything other than winning.
He'd come in after the second period, and we were down 4-2. It didn't matter to who. He'd look around the room and say, guys, they're not getting any more. So my eyes would go, bing, and we go win the game 7-4.
So that was your message in the dressing room. Don't worry about it, guys. They're not getting any more. Was he right on? You knew that?
Well, I don't know if I knew it, but I believed it. So, and that's the biggest thing, is you have to have your teammates believe in you. So whether it's salesmanship, whatever it is, that's the key, is if they believe that, then we still freewheel and play a little bit differently. And fortunately for us, we ended up winning a lot of hockey games that way.
So let's talk a little bit about the 87 Canada Cup. Would you say that maybe that was the best hockey ever played?
It's some of the most enjoyable. And a lot of people don't like 6-5 games. To me, it doesn't matter. It was a lot of fun to play in. I mean, yeah, would you like to give up less goals? Yeah, you would. But at the same time, you're playing against the best players in the world. And I think that's what everybody wants to do. One, I get to play with the best players. Two, you're playing against the best players. So it's the most elite group of players that there was in hockey at that time. And the fact that I got the opportunity to play and we won just makes it that much more special.
The Russian team was unbelievable, right? And you guys had to really dig down deep to beat those guys. But before that happened, Mike Keenan had to make a decision on goaltending. He's got his guy, Ron Hextall. Were you surprised that he chose you over Hextall, who had won the Vezina? At a Conn Smythe?
Yeah, a little. Yeah, you know what? Yeah. A little surprised. But at the same time, we're both there competing for the same job. So that's all you can do is compete and let the chips fall where they may.
So before that game winner by Lemieux, you were forced to make a few important saves. What do you remember about that sequence of events?
I remember the goal more than the saves. But no, I mean, you're there to make the one save that matters. And fortunately, I was able to do that. And when you've got three of the best players in the world on your side, at some point, they're going to go down and score a goal. So it worked out perfectly for us.
What was it like watching? You had the best seat in the house. Watching Gretzky, Lemieux, I think, was it Howard Chuck on the ice? I think Larry Murphy. Who was all out there watching that play? What were you feeling when you watched that play unfold?
You know what? My whole career, I feel pretty fortunate. I had the best seat in the house to watch the best player in the game. So you're kind of spoiled in that sense. But then you had a guy like Mario in. You get a chance to play with a guy like Dale Howard Chuck. I mean, we had who else? We had Koff, Ray Bork.
Coffee.
Right. We had so much talent that it's fun. I think the most fun was practicing with them. Just to get out with the best guys in the world and practice with them. It can't help but make you better. And then to see everybody in a clutch moment like that perform is even more fun.
So heading out of that 87 Canada Cup, the 87-88 season, great year for you. You won your Vezina trophy, and you had made some spectacular saves. Do you remember this one here?
Every now and then you got to get a little bit lucky.
Look is that your best save ever or what?
That might be one of them. We had a couple where we were kind of just throw yourself across and hope.
Yeah, that's incredible. So that 88 season, was that your best?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think with Canada Cup and everything in it, I think I played 103 games. So, I think as an overall body of work, that was probably my best year.
So you guys win for the Cup for the fourth time. It seems to me like, as an Oilers fan, this is great. This is probably never going to end. I mean, it's great. And then in the off season, you guys are whacked with that trade. And what were your thoughts when that had transpired? What went through your mind when you heard the news?
Well, I think like everybody, we were shocked. I mean, one, you never thought Wayne would ever be traded. I mean, I don't think anybody ever thought. I thought he'd be there for life. But once they traded Wayne, then it's kind of a regroup. But at the same time, I think everybody was a little shell-shocked at the news and what happened. So it was a chance for us to refocus, and we had to figure out what was coming next.
Well, it was tough to regroup for that for sure. But, I know Gretzky referred to you as the greatest goalie of all time. So I know you guys had a good relationship watching him go, that must be, heartbreaking. And I remember at the time I was, being so angry Pocklington for allowing his businesses to get in the way of failed businesses to get in the way of his hockey team, and what happened as a result of that. What went through? Like, how did you decide that you're going to did you think that you guys had lost it? Did you think that maybe this is it for you guys?
No, I mean, we still had a lot of good players, and we still had a great leader in Mess. And I think that's the other thing is we were spoiled over the years. We had Mess and Gretz as leaders. So when they traded Wayne, we still had Mess. So we still had probably one of the ultimate best leaders in the game. And it was a matter of we had to prove to people that we were still a good hockey team.
Then after the, you guys came back and won the cup again in 1990. But now at that point, Bill Ranford is the guy who's become the number one. And then you get suspended for admitting to cocaine use. And, how did you realize that you had a problem, first of all?
It was just a personal realization that I had to change some things in my life. And I get suspended in 89. So it was a matter of just a reevaluation of where I was at in life, and that it wasn't a road that I wanted to go any further down. So we had to do what we had to do. I mean, you go to rehab, you get things looked after, and you make yourself a better person, and you grow from it, and you learn from it. So for me, it was a learning process. And I seem to take the road less traveled, where not everything is right. And I went to the school of life. And sometimes you make good choices, sometimes you make bad choices. And at that point in my life, I'd made a bad choice, and you have to fix it.
Well, somebody who's been sober for 30 years, I can relate. I went to rehab and things changed in my life too. So I know what that's all about. But by the time it was such a weird scenario for you. I mean, by the time the suspension came about, by that time you're already sober. You've already worked. Got to on cleaning up your life and getting your act together, and but the NHL at that particular time, they left you on an island, man. I mean, you were just no support from the league. They suspend you, and as you are well aware, and addicts and alcoholics were aware, is that like the worst thing you could do to an addict or alcoholic is isolate them and single them out and leave them on an island like that. I mean, we need to have, be part of something, be communicating with others, and so how hard was that for you, and the way that the NHL handled it?
I can honestly say the league wasn't a big help in anything, but my teammates were. I mean, I saw my teammates every day. I talked to them every day, and I talked to Glenn Sather every day. So they didn't leave me on the island. They were there for as much support as I needed. And that was a big part of what got me through everything. I mean, the league at that time was built to punish. It wasn't built to help anybody. So fortunately now the league's changed, and they're there to help the players. And I'm not sure the trust factor's there yet, but at the same time, at least they're there to help. So if something good came out of that, is they brought in a new policy after I was suspended. So there's some good that comes out of all bad.
Right. And I know you've been very, very helpful to other hockey players. I know you reached out to Carey Price when he was going through what he went through. And how has your life changed as a result of being sober? Like, what was Grant FUHR before and after becoming clean?
You know what? I was pretty carefree and happy as a young guy. And now I'm pretty carefree and happy as an old guy. So I couldn't ask for a better life right now. I mean, I've got a great family. I've got great kids. And I couldn't ask for more. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. The one thing at the end of the day in life you have is family. And I've got a great family. I've got a very supportive wife. And that's all you can ask for. I wake up every day blessed and happy.
Which is pretty awesome compared to where we were at one point, right? So the Oilers come back and win the Stanley Cup, but then things go south for you and the team. And I think it seems to me like the Oilers at that particular time decided that perhaps Grant FUHR was done, and so they dealt you out of out of Edmonton to Toronto. And we have actually a clip from Cliff Fletcher after the deal was made to Toronto.
We gave up some young players. We made a calculated determination that we can replace that youth down the road because our long-term goal hasn't changed whatsoever.
So and I know you had your moments in the blue and white, but what was it like coming to Toronto to play in basically the mecca of hockey?
Oh, you know what? As a little kid, I grew up a Leaf fan. I think the first jersey I ever got was a Leaf jersey. And I sat and watched Hockey Night in Canada with my dad, and all the games out west were Toronto. So if I couldn't play in Edmonton, the second best place that I wanted to play was Toronto. So the fact that I got dealt to the Leafs and to be able to play for the Leafs was actually a big thrill for me.
Unfortunately, that particular time, the Leafs weren't quite ready yet, and they were getting close. What were your thoughts about the team at that time?
I knew going in it was kind of a rebuild. So it's something that I hadn't experienced before, but at the same time, I'd never been traded before either. So there was a lot of new experiences going on, and I enjoyed my time. It was fun to play in Maple Leaf Gardens. It's fun to play in front of the Leaf fans. So I enjoyed my time there.
Well, after the a short period of time in Toronto, you were dealt to Buffalo, and in your book, you talk about an eye-opening experience when it comes to racism in Buffalo. Tell us about your experience with that.
Well, it was the first time I'd ever experienced it. Growing up in Canada, you were a hockey player first and foremost. And then in Buffalo, I'd gone to join a golf club and was denied based on race, which is the first time I had ever seen that. So for me, it was an eye-opener. I was pretty fortunate my first, 11, 12 years in the league that I'd never, ever witnessed it. So that was the first time I'd witnessed it. And it was something new to deal with. But at the same time, by then I'd learned that you just move on. And if they don't want you there, then you don't deal with them. You move to where you're wanted.
Well, there was you and Dominic Hasek working together in Buffalo. Hasek was an amazing goalie in his own right. Tell us about that unique goaltending tandem and what it was like to work with Hasek and for the Sabres and your experience there with Jerry Meehan making the deal to get you. And
you know what? I had a great time in Buffalo, and Dom was fun to play with. That was the great thing is I'd known Dom a little bit from the Canada Cup, and you knew how good he was. He just hadn't had a chance to show it yet. So the fact that I got a chance to play with him, I got to see it every day. He's the ultimate competitor in practice. We both thought the same way, where you didn't want pucks to go in your net, whether it was practice, whether you were fooling around, whatever it was. So it was fun to play with Dom, and it was fun to be competitive with Dom.
Well, after Buffalo, you got a chance to join your old pal Wayne Gretzky in L.A., a brief stop in L.A. Things weren't going very well. It seemed like the Leafs traded you, and then Buffalo traded you, got rid of you, and then L.A. short period then, and it seemed like nobody had any faith in Grant Fuhrer except for a guy named Mike Keenan. And I think he had a conversation with Gretzky and said, "Do you think this guy still has what it takes to play in the NHL?" And by this time, he wouldn't got a lot of support from people who would said, "Nah, I think Grant's past his prime and not much left." But what was it that Mike Keenan saw in an aging Grant Fuhrer, an elderly Grant Fuhrer?
Old Grant Fuhrer, that's for sure. But no, my start in LA wasn't very good. But the last probably 3 or 4 games I played in LA, I played like I felt like I still could. And it gave me belief that I still had it. And Mike was good enough to reach out that summer and asked if I'd be interested to come to St. Louis. And it looked like a good opportunity to me. So I hadn't caught the news that he traded Curtis Joseph. So we walked into a little bit of a hornet's nest because he just won the most popular player. So it was an interesting start in St. Louis.
Well, I guess you had something to prove, didn't you? And you talked earlier about, was it Bob Keiser, the trainer,
Bob Kersey.
the Kersey? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Bobby Kersey.
yeah, he had a lot to do with you changing some habits and getting yourself into shape, didn't he?
He did. I mean, I was 34 at the time, I believe. And it was just a different way of training. I mean, he'd always lifted weights, this, that. Whereas Bobby was more into stretching and doing things to keep my body pliable as I got older. And he was a big part of me being able to play every day.
I mean, did you believe that you still had any? I mean, what was coming was totally unexpected, I think, from everybody. I think even Mike Keenan had to be pleasantly surprised, obviously. But, for you to play in 79 games for the Blues, 76 games in a row, which are both NHL records. Did you see any of that coming?
I didn't see playing that much. I mean, I knew in my heart I could still play. I mean, did I think I could still play 79 games in a year? That I didn't know. But at the same time, working with Bobby, we managed to get the body to where I felt like I could play every day. And a lot of playing every day is a mental set. And I knew the mind was still strong. It was just a matter of whether the body would allow it or not.
Well, you had the knee problems, you had the shoulder problems through your career. We got some video of you from a wild night in St. Louis. You ended up squaring off with Nikolai Habibulin. What do you remember about this night? Obviously, you weren't afraid of getting injured.
No, we're never really worried about getting injured. And the funny part is, Habby and I are good friends. So it's just one of those things in hockey where you have to stick up for your teammates. And if the other goalie's going to jump in, then you just have to be a part of that. I mean, it's all part of supporting your teammates.
Well, this seemed to be becoming a thing here with you in St. Louis. Another brawl. This time you're going to get into it with Patrick Waugh. Did you feel you got a little feistier in your old age?
I don't know if I get any feistier. It seems that teams used to end up in more brawls. I mean, at Edmonton, we had 5 or 6 tough guys, and teams really didn't want to brawl with us, whereas some of the other teams, it seemed to happen a little more often. But at the same time, we were having fun, so that's all that mattered.
Okay, so you got Bobby Kersey working with you. You're back in tremendous physical shape, but you're playing 79 games in a season. Did you ever say to Keenan, "No, hey, Mike, we need to back off here"? I mean, did you ever think that or say that?
No, I mean, you prepare to play every day anyway. So, I mean, I prepared to play, and if you wanted me to play, I played. I mean, that's the way it is. It's a mindset that you have to prepare every day. And you look at teams now where they're worried about load management. Well, load management comes in practice. And if I needed a day off in practice, Mike was really good about giving me a day off in practice so that you could play in the games. And I think that's where the management comes in, is you have to watch your goalies in practice and see. I know when I was coaching, I had Curtis Joseph his last year, and you watch where it's going in practice. And if he needs time off, you give him time off in practice, not in games.
Well, the Blues had a real nice run that year. You played a lot of hockey, and a lot of people believed that you guys had the pieces to win it all. And it looked like you might be headed in that direction until you get hit by Nick Kypreos in that game, in that playoff game against the Leafs. Now, tell us, was that? Do you think there was any malice in that? I know Keenan, I believe he's still upset about that.
You know what happens is, in the playoffs, people fall on you. It happens all the time, and it just happened to be the one time that I had my leg stuck in a bad spot underneath me, and we ripped up a knee pretty good.
Well, I think it was a torn ACL, MCL, and meniscus. So that's about as bad as you can get your knee torn up. But how hard was it to leave that scenario? And do you think that maybe you guys have missed out on an opportunity at that 6th Stanley Cup there?
Well, I think so. I mean, I think we had all the pieces where we could have won another cup. We had good defense. We had great centers, good wingers, good support players. So Yeah, do I think that's a team that could have won a cup? I do. I think that could have been the first cup in St. Louis.
So your team growing up, you get that situation with Kyprios, and then it wasn't the only time that a Maple Leaf did some damage to Grant Fuhrer. We have another clip here from Matt Sundin. Vic, roll that. Do you remember this shot?
Yeah, sometimes you stop pucks with your face. It's not very much fun, but it happens.
So were you out cold?
Oh, maybe for a second, but
yeah,
it's one of those things. Funny part is I was a new mask and it had a gold cage, and it's the first time I'd worn it. So apparently it was a pretty good target.
Oh my God. That was a blast and a half. Yeah, because Sundin could shoot pretty good. So then after you leave St. Louis, you had one more kick at the can with the Flames. What was it like suiting up for the evil empire?
You know what? It was different. Right? For me, it was a good way to close out my career. My mom was from Calgary. So to finish my career there, I was back in Alberta, which was nice. I just wish I had a little bit more in the tank at that time. I mean, the body had pretty much given up the ghost by that time. And I enjoyed playing for Brian Sutter. I think that was the one reason that I went to Calgary and finished playing is I had the ultimate respect for Brian as a player, as a coach. And I talked to him before I went to Calgary, and it was something that I wanted to do to finish my career.
So the career comes to an end. You retire as a Flame, but of course, you're an Oiler. You know, everybody remembers you as an Oiler, and that's when you retired. The Oilers retired your jersey, and that was quite a scene. I mean, here you are, you're dressed up in your goaltending outfit, and I mean, you started all this in the crease of the goal, and it was really quite an emotional, a really great celebration. And who was the mastermind behind all of this happening? Because it was really well done.
You know what? Donnie Metz is the mastermind behind it all. I mean, he's created all the different ceremonies for all the guys that have had their numbers retired. And he's always got some great ideas, and it's when he puts things together, it's always first class and it's always top notch. So it was actually pretty cool, especially growing up there.
What's it like to see your number going up to the rafters like that?
You know what? It's pretty cool. It's not something you ever expect. So I think that's the fun part is you never expect that. You play the game because you love the game. And the fact that happened is just a bonus to all that.
You can see the emotion in your face. It was such a cool moment, and really a great opportunity to reconnect with the fans and just to be there. So in your Hall of Fame induction speech, you talked about how your family had to take a back seat to the game of hockey, and I'll go on through it. Tell us a little bit about that.
So as a professional hockey player, to be successful, your family's in the dressing room. We spend more time with the guys than you do with your own families. So to be successful and to have that commitment, you're going to spend more time at the rink. You're going to spend more time with the guys than you really do your family. And they kind of get put on the back burner, which is that's the sad part of professional sport, but it's also the reality of professional sport. That to be committed and to be successful, you've got to give 100% commitment to the game, both mentally and physically. So the families kind of get shoveled onto the backside of that.
You mentioned in your speech as well that you give credit to Willie O'Ree and others who paved the way to make it possible for you to be in the NHL and then, of course, be inducted. But you were also the inspiration for many up-and-coming Black players. Joe McGinley, who also grew up in the Edmonton area, he was on the show not long ago. He talked about your influence at his Hockey Hall of Fame induction and diversity in hockey when we had him on the show. Let's rule that, Vic.
It's important for me tonight to thank Hall of Famer Grant Fuhrer. Grant was one of my idols growing up in St. Albert, just outside Edmonton, and I was thrilled to play with him in Calgary at the end of his career. I also want to acknowledge Grant and the recent inductee, the amazing Willie O'Ree, and guys like Claude Vilgrain and Tony McKegney. and Herb Carnegie for breaking racial barriers in hockey. Being a young black hockey player, it was important for me to see other black players in the NHL. In my first year of hockey as a 7-year-old, a kid came up to me and said, "Why are you playing hockey?" Over the years, I would hear, "What are your chances of playing in the NHL? There's not many black players." I'd hear other stuff. Luckily, there was only a few. And I know it's thanks to guys like Grant and Willie who made me know that my dream of playing in the NHL was attainable. When I first broke in, like I say, I was lucky that it came in a time where they were starting to put a focus on it, where it wasn't going to be acceptable. And my time in the NHL, I didn't have many stories. My teammates treated me very well, and I know that guys before me didn't have as easy as I had it, and had more issues. And even still, in places, there's issues that kids shouldn't have to deal with, and there's racism, and there's still room for improvement, and they're still working away at it. But it's a great game, and also a locker room. A hockey locker room is made up of so many different nationalities from around the world, and it's part of what makes it special.
Was that your experience too, Grant? Was that the game was special in a lot of ways, and that you didn't experience? It sounds like neither you nor Jerome experienced a lot in terms of the racial issues.
No, I mean, we were pretty fortunate growing up in Canada and playing in Canada, where you don't see a lot of it. And the fact that in Edmonton, when I played, we had different nationalities there. We had Czechs, Finns. So it was a diverse locker room. And we were taught right from the beginning that it's family. So there's no colors in family. It's just family. And that's the way we were treated. That's the way we treated it. And that's the way we were brought up. So for me, it made it a lot easier. And some of the guys like Willie, Val James, Mike Marson, Bill Riley, guys like that had to go through a much tougher time, where I think I was pretty fortunate, where I walked in to a great locker room, one, and a really talented locker room. So that's all anybody saw, is that we were winning. And being a goalie, you're behind a mask. So that probably helped a little bit as well.
The NHL has done a lot in terms of trying to improve in terms of diversity, with more blacks in my careers with the Sharks. I mean, there's more blacks in management positions and stuff like that. Is the NHL doing enough?
I think it's getting better and better. I mean, I've done some stuff with the diversity program where they've reached out to some kids in different areas that would not necessarily get a chance to play hockey. I know here in the Coachella Valley with the American Hockey League team here, we've reached out to some areas that would probably never, ever play hockey. But now that we've got the rink here and such, kids are excited about it. This summer, Shannon Miller got them into playing street hockey, and where they figured they might get 400 or 500, they end up getting 5,000. So it's a big part of the game, is getting it to kids that may never ever have that chance. Start with street hockey, then you get them on the ice. And as the game grows, it's better and better for the game.
Nothing like a good game of road hockey. Carp. So you touched on Coachella. Tell us about your new gig, because we were talking about it briefly before we started the show.
Yeah, so I've got talked into doing a little bit of TV, where I'm going to do pregame show, intermissions, postgame show. And then during the games, I'm doing color for the hockey club here. So nights we're not on TV, I do it on radio, and we're having a lot of fun with it.
Okay, tell us about the team. I know you guys are AHL farm team.
We are Seattle's farm team. And I mean, because the building wasn't quite ready yet, we started on the road with 22 straight on the road. And the guys right now are tied for first place in the American Hockey League. So in spite of having to start on the road, it's been a pretty successful hockey team. They've done a great job here. Steve Fraser, Troy Bodie, the ownership group have done a really good job of putting a great hockey team together.
Sounds like the Kraken are a pretty good organization. I mean, look what they've done in a very short period of time.
They are. I think they're building it the right way. We've got some good young players that are coming up. And they had a tough year last year in the NHL, but if you look at them this year, they've made great progress. So, and that's all you want. You want progress every year in building a good team, and Ronnie Francis has done that.
How's the golf game? Are you getting a chance to play despite the TV? I'm sure you are.
I'll always sneak my golf in. I managed to sneak it in when I was playing, so I'll sneak it in here still.
Right. Sneak it in when you're playing. I think you played, 18 or 36 holes during the playoff. So I mean, I know you could always sneak a game of golf in here or there. What's the handicap now?
What's the index? I think I looked at it this morning. I think it's the index is 0.1. So we still get it around.
Man, that's sensational. Well, I'll tell you, if you're ever in Mexico or back in Toronto again, let me know in the summertime, and we'll hook up for a game of golf. I'd love to get you out there, Grant, and maybe you could teach me a few things just by watching you. Wow, that's incredible. 0.1.
Yeah, we get lucky some days.
Yeah. Well, thanks, buddy. I want to say once again, the book is called Grant FUHR: The Story of a Hockey Legend, co-written by Bruce Dalbig. And how's Bruce doing, by the way?
Bruce is doing good. I still message him once in a while on Facebook or Twitter or the new social media way of getting in touch with people. So they're still doing good.
Right. Okay. Well, listen, thanks for taking the time to join us. And it's been great having you on, Grant. You've always been one of my favorites. Thank you.
It's my pleasure, Joe.
All right. More sports when we come back.
Addiction Rehab Toronto, Toronto's #1 alcohol and drug treatment center, saving lives, reuniting families. The only treatment center in the province to offer medical detox, treatment, sober living, and lifetime aftercare all in one place. Our unique and specialized programs are designed to equip our clients with the tools to successfully lead a life of dignity, respect, and purpose. Let us help save your life or your loved one's life. Call today for more information or to facilitate an intervention. 1-855-787-2424 or visit addictionrehabtoronto.ca. Joe Tilley Sports is brought to you by COSA, Central Ontario Standardbred Association, providing a united voice for harness horse people racing at Ontario tracks. Check out your benefits today at COSAonline.com and check out COSA TV on Facebook and YouTube for all the latest harness news and live action updates. Live racing year-round. Go to HPIBet.com for all your wagering options. Become a member today and your first bet is free. That's HPIBet.com.
Visit moregolf.ca. You'll find everything a golfer could need, from balls, gloves, clubs, custom fitting opportunities, training gear, valuable accessories, and some great deals. Looking for that perfect gift idea for the golfer in your life? Go to moregolf.ca today. All right, my COSA Swiss pick of the week. Last time out, I took Bettina Hanover in Thursday night's 7th race for Philly Trotters. Unfortunately, she was a late scratch. Hope she's okay. Dealing with Dewey took the lead from Jigan Jaundice heading into the final turn. A few horses broke stride, and Majestic J was able to regroup for driver Tyler Jones, trained by Benoit Baillargeon. The 7-3-10 trifecta returned $648. Not too bad. This week, let's go with Thursday night's 4th at Mohawk, a filly and mare trot. And I'm liking the 8-horse, Matt's MVP, with James McDonald driving. And let's go with the 5, 8, 9 exacta and trifecta box. Good luck for all the racing updates. Visit COSA TV on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Go to hpibet.com for your wagering options.
This is the Excellent Sports Adventure, brought to you by Lycom.
Well, what can you say about that quarterfinal between Canada and Slovakia at the World Juniors? Absolutely amazing, edge of your seat stuff. Amazing game, ended in spectacular fashion by an emerging superstar, Connor Bedard, in overtime, weaves his way through everybody, dekes to the backhand, his second goal of the night. Bedard has set a record for most points and goals at the World Juniors, and he certainly wrap this one up in style as Canada reaches the Final Four. Was this a Stanley Cup final preview? Possibly. Leafs in Denver to face the defending champs. Mitch Marner gets the party started New Year's Eve, takes the feed from Calle Jarnkrok, picks the corner, his 14th of the season, a power play. Austin Matthews gives to John Tavares. He gets it over to Michael Bunting. Game winner, 2 goals for the Scarborough kid. Leafs close the road trip by spanking the Avs 6-2. Matt Murray with 26 saves. Great all-round effort.
It was a great game all around. I thought the guys did a really good job defending against a really dangerous team with a ton of speed. They did a great job slowing them up through the neutral zone. That's a key factor against them. So, again, I thought the whole team did great tonight.
There's a lot of good things in the game. We got contributions from all 4 lines, all 6 defensemen. We got saves from Murr when we needed them there, when they had some of their flurries. So, yeah, like I said, it's a good way to close out, what it feels like a real long road trip here. Even though it hasn't been that long, it feels long with the distance we traveled and the 3 real late flights to get in each city. So it's been a challenge that way, and I like the way the guys got it done tonight.
Oilers making a move in that NHL Pacific Division, and it has plenty to do with the kid from Newmarket, Connor McDavid, steals. He's going to bury his league-leading 32nd goal, a 5-point night, and a big win over a surprisingly strong Kraken club. That's without Leon Draisaitl. Now, the Oilers thought they might get another big win against the Jets, but Neil Pionk's point shot is tipped by Kyle Connor. Winnipeg ekes out a 2-1 win. Connor Hellebuck was absolutely incredible in that game. Brittany Howard of the Toronto Six is a player of the month for December for the Premier Hockey Federation. Howard had 5 goals and 3 assists in 4 games, cleaning up in front here against the Buffalo River Works. Another Toronto win as they improved to 7-1-2 on the year. The Six are in Montreal this weekend for a pair of games. Playoffs or lottery? That's what the Raptors will be looking at this springtime. Home to the Suns, a solid team. Gary Trent Jr. takes the dish. Trent Jr. steps back, puts it up for 3. And the harm, he had a season-high 35 points. Late in the game, Siakam, the player of the week, kicks it out to Scotty Barnes. Barnes hits a triple. Raps sink the Suns 113-104. Trent Jr. added 32 points in the Raps' next game at Indiana, but the Pacers won 122-114. The Dinos fall to 16-21. Time once again now for our shot of the week.
God damn it.
4!
Here's Gerard playing very well today. Par-3-6 hole. He puts it on the green, rolling it right toward the stick. He'll be in a very short break putt. What a shot.
Rycom, passionate people who turn complicated business problems into simplified technology solutions for public and private sector real estate, properties, portfolios, and enterprise customers. Optimize and future-proof smart buildings from the ground up. The latest in fault locating, base building network design, managed services, cybersecurity, data analytics. Our fault detection will support all smart strategies, define projected outcomes for capital planning, and reduce environmental impact. Rycom, smart protection solutions. At Rycom, we're building a path to a smart and environmentally friendly future.
All the folks who make this show possible, these are friends, trusted business associates, and all-around great people. Thank you for your support of Canadian and local sports. A reminder that the show is available on iTunes, Spotify, Breaker, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, and Pocket Cast, as well as the Spanglish Network and Zingo TV and Buzz TV Live. Also, want to check out our YouTube channel. Past shows are available there. We've got weekly sportscasts, all kinds of cool segments. Like and subscribe. It's absolutely free. Thanks once again to Grant FUHR for dropping by. It was a joy to have him. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Brian Gribben Insurance Planning, helping you solidify your financial future.
At BGIP, what we do that's unique in the marketplace is we show people how to spend and enjoy their money in their early years of retirement without the fear of running out. Also, we're able to do this without you having to change financial advisors. Please look us up at bgip.ca today. And let's book a 30-minute phone call to see how we can bring value to you and your family in your planning.
Call Brian today for all your retirement needs. We did. 905-686-5678. Do you want to buy or sell a home? Could 31 years of real estate experience help you? Why not speak to an amazing team that loves to overpromise and overdeliver? Aldo has a tremendous team of experts on staff. They are committed to making your next real estate transaction smooth and comfortable. Call 416-GET-ALDO or visit getaldo.com.
MNP, a leading Canadian national accounting, tax, and business accounting firm. MNP proudly serves and responds to the need of their clients in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors. Through partner-led engagements, MNP provides a collaborative, cost-effective approach to do business and personal strategies to help people and organizations to succeed across the country and around the world. With local offices in Oshawa, Mississauga, Burlington, and more, their team is here to support you. Visit mnp.ca today to learn more.